Alrighty, it's the top of the hour and Rick has joined us. Hi, Rick. So I think we are ready to get started. All right, I'm going to ask if everyone can mute themselves. Um, that way the recording doesn't get confused on who's speaking or what sounds they may be hearing. For those of you who don't know, my name is Callie Blake. I am one of the engagement associates at Dark Sky. The other is Betty Maya. Um, Today, we're going to be talking about Dark Sky's recognized codes and statutes, the new templates essentially that were released in November. Before we get into that though, we're going to go over a few little details about the meeting itself, such as where to find the chat function, Q&A function, translation function, and the caption function for those who don't speak English or, just may need to follow what is being said. Those all can be found at the bottom of your screen. If you look down, you can see all sorts of little features. And if you have any questions during the meeting, you are more than welcome to ask questions in the chat feature or in the Q&A button at the very bottom with a little question mark. Something else to mention for Dark Sky is International Dark Sky Week is coming up, April 21st to the 28th. This is a week-long event where you can participate in various dark sky activities, whether that's hosting an event in your community, signing a pledge, or requesting a proclamation from your local legislators. And if you have any questions about that, feel free to put them in the chat. Thank you, Benny Maya, for putting the links. Very helpful. All righty. Today's speakers for this particular topic is James Brigagliano. James, please let me know if I'm saying your last name
No, you
correctly.
said it right. Thank you.
Woo! He is our Dark Sky Lighting Programs Manager. And then we have Rick Utting. Also, Rick, please let me know if I'm saying your last name right. And he is Dark Sky's policy advisor. So I am going to hand off the meeting to them.
All right. Thanks so much, Callie. Appreciate it. Thanks everyone for taking the time out of your day to join us and being interested in the topic. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Okay. All right. I think we're in business, so get started here. So yeah, I'm the lighting program manager at Dark Sky International. I've been with the organization for like 2 years now. And I also am responsible for a few other programs, the Dark Sky Approved Lodging Program and the Dark Sky Approved Luminaires Program, and actually the Dark Sky Approved Outdoor Sports Lighting Program as well. My background is, lighting design and product development. And so I've got a good amount of experience in lighting. I'm not a specialist in law policy per se, so that's why we have Rick on the call. Rick is an expert with a lot of experience in that area, and so he's going to be going over some of the details. But we talked as a group when we were at our retreat last week, and we decided we really wanted to make sure that we covered during this meeting a lot about the how to take action, not just about all the details of the criteria of the program, but like, okay, what do we do with these templates, these tools? How do we use them? How do we go about, approaching local, government and stuff like that? So, the why did we make these templates? And why did we make this program? So, having proper lighting codes and statutes in place globally is like the best chance that we have at seeing wide scale adoption of dark sky principles. So if we really want to see that wide, that large scale change, this is going to probably be one of the best things that we could do as an organization. So what we're going to be covering today specifically is going to be the templates we created. We created state territory legislation and municipal ordinance templates. So again, more on the why, so we obviously we get asked a lot to provide guidance on, policy writing and stuff like that. A lot of the existing laws that are existing are flawed. So we need to have accurate vocabulary and effective requirements that are, easy to implement and enforce. And so, a lot of the flawed laws that are out there get copied over, so it just kind of propagates, and we got a lot of bad policy out there. Um, and so guidance requirements, collaboration with lighting professionals. Dark Sky, we did extensive networking and working with lots of different professionals from manufacturers to government agencies. And actually, Rick will run down the whole list of everybody we coordinated with. It's really extensive. So definitely did our homework on this. So some of you might be familiar with the model lighting ordinance that was introduced in 2011. It was a joint development with the Illuminating Engineering Society and IDA at the time. And it was exactly that. It was a model ordinance that could be adopted for city municipality that didn't have any kind of lighting code or wanted to improve their lighting code. Um, so a lot of good things came out of the MLO. Lighting zones were developed, like at LZ0 through LZ4. LZ0 is more of like a national park or someplace that's very, very dark. LZ4, lighting zone 4 is like, Times Square or something like that. And because you might approach the lighting differently depending on the lighting zone that you're in. And so lighting zones are still used by the Illuminating Engineering Society, DarkSky, and other organizations. But the MLO was 44 pages, and it was really technical, and the ability to adopt it into practice was less than expected. So in 2024, it's important to know the MLO was deemed deficient, ineffective, and it was then deprecated. So that's really no longer a valid document. This would be replaced with the two templates that we've created now. So before we get into, or before Rick gets into the how, to the what and then the how, I want to just quickly go over the 5 principles of responsible outdoor lighting. I'm sure you guys have all heard about them. You've probably read them, but I'm going to try to go into a little bit more depth. It's really important to understand this because it's really, it goes beyond just having a dark sky light fixture, and it really helps people understand how to apply the lighting, how to think about lighting when you're installing that. So in 2020, Dark Sky and the Illuminating Engineering Society jointly published the 5 principles. So let's look at those. So the principles, these are in order of priority. And I didn't explain why in the first meeting, but I will this time. So the reason they're in order of priority, what that means is if a light fixture is really well targeted and it's low level, no brighter than it needs to be, in most cases, the color is not as important in that case because it's well targeted and it's low level. Only in the unique situations, like maybe in a sea turtle habitat, is like the color going to be specifically important. But in just general lighting, if you do these 2 things really well, that color is not going to be as big of an issue. So let's just go through the principles here. So number 1, is it useful? Use light only if it's needed. Principle number 2, targeted, direct light so it falls only where it's needed. Principle 3, low level, light should be no brighter than necessary. 4, it's controlled, use light only when it is needed. And warm color, principle 5, use warm color lights where possible. We're going to dig into these a little bit more here. I created just some kind of little like real world examples just to kind of help you think with real scenarios here. So, principle 1, useful, all light should have a clear purpose. Consider how to use how the use of light will impact the area, including wildlife and their habitats. So, example 1, you have a woodshed that you only use during the day to split wood. Do you really need to have a light there at all? If you do, or you already have a light there, does it need to be on at night if no one is using it? No, so have that thing turned off. It's not useful if no one's there. Example 2, your small business closes from January to March each year. Is it useful to keep every light on that you would normally use during the open season? No, they're definitely not. There's normal operation isn't happening. You can definitely turn off some of the lights. And every little bit helps. It's going to make an impact. So only use lights that are, doing something. Okay, principle 2, targeted. Use shielding and careful aiming to target the direction of the light beam so that it points downward and does not spill beyond where it is needed. So, if you look in the little graphic there, it shows like a light fixture with a nice shade. The light source is tucked up inside there. So when we say shielding, we're trying to avoid the direct viewing of the light source itself. Okay. So two examples on targeted. The new security lighting on your garage illuminates not only your garage, but also your neighbor's front yard, a portion of the roadway. Is this installation well targeted? No. If it was well targeted, the illumination would be just on your property. And even better, the illumination would be just on the intended task, which would be probably the driveway in front of the garage. Example 2, a state park entrance uses in-grade uplights on each side of their welcome sign to illuminate the park name at night. If the distribution of the lights illuminate the tops of 40-foot trees on both sides as well, is this application well targeted? No, definitely not. So this is one that, I saw not far from my house, and it makes me really want to approach them and talk to them about it because, yeah, they're lighting the sign, but the tops of these tall trees right outside this beautiful park are getting really lit up, and there's no need for it. Just need better targeting, better aiming. Okay, low level. Use the lowest light level required. Be mindful of surface conditions, as some surfaces may reflect more light into the night sky than intended. So, obviously a white surface has more reflectance than a black surface. So you need to kind of consider your environment a little bit. You'll need maybe more light in a dark environment with dark surfaces. And with the opposite, if you have lighter surfaces, you can probably get away with a little bit less light. So example number 1, your municipality installs a new roadway lighting plan that is 50% brighter than IES recommendations. So wouldn't the lighting be just as functional if it met the minimum recommended light level? And so I've added here that remember that IES provides average maintained light levels that have been agreed to by experts to be adequate for the task. So these are not minimums, and they have an allowance like that, or it's already built into them. So you really just need to meet the minimum. Example 2. So you're visiting a remote campground with your family in Western Utah to stargaze and do some astrophotography, which everybody loves to do. When you arrived at camp, you notice that bright post-top luminaires illuminate the long stretch of driveway. Is this the best lighting solution given the surrounding environment? Would low-level bollards and car headlights provide enough wayfinding functionality to be adequate? Yeah, most likely. It's going to be much more appropriate to have some lower level bollards there rather than taller, brighter post tops, especially in this scenario where you're in a remote location. Controlled, so use controls such as timers or motion detectors to ensure that light is available when it is needed, dimmed when possible, and turned off when not needed. So you're a homeowner with landscape lighting and post-top luminaires that light a driveway, some trees, and a water feature in your front yard. The lights all operate at full power for the entire night. How could we make sure that these lights are off during the middle of the night when no one will benefit from them? Some people are really good about turning their lights on and off, turn them off at night when they go to bed. I'm really good about it. But, that's relying on, it's a person to make sure that that gets done. So it's very easy to add a time clock to lighting like this. You can get like a little time clock that just replaces your standard single gang switch in your house. Just put a time clock in there, relatively inexpensive. And then, it's guaranteed that they're going off when they need to go off. There's no reason to have these things on at 3 a.m. when no one's awake. Okay, example 2, soccer field installed lighting in order to extend play into the night. The lights were installed with only manual on-off control and are often left on all night. Do you think automated controls would pay for themselves by saving energy? If not, wouldn't the homeowners neighboring the field still be happier? And the point here is, yeah, definitely. There's, especially sports lighting, it has more of an impact on the community. So by ensuring that these lights are going off, by having automated controls, you're going to keep that community happier and prevent nuisance lighting and stuff like that. So it's pretty much mandatory to have controls on, especially a system like that. And lastly, warm colored. So limit the amount of shorter wavelength blue light to the least amount needed. So two examples I have here. Your homeowners association just retrofitted all the exterior wall sconce luminaires on the building you're living in to using 5000K CCT. So is there really any argument that could be made for using 5000K K over 3000K in this scenario? I'd be interested in people's comments on that, but really the reason for 5K historically is that it's just more efficient. That was like 15 years ago or 20 years ago when, LEDs really first came out, white LEDs, started to get used. The efficiency difference is very minimal now. And the 3000K sources we have now in LED are far more efficient than anything we had previously, So the energy is, it's very energy efficient. And the CCT, that's not the reason you're picking 3 over 5, it's not energy anymore. Example 2. So the farm stand at the edge of town just replaced their old halogen floodlights with new LED units operating at 6000K. Was 6000K really needed for any reason, or was this just a result of a buyer not paying attention to the product's color temperature when purchasing? So most likely they didn't notice what they bought. They saw that was the right kind of light they were looking for, a security light. They got it installed. It might have been bluer than maybe they wanted when they turned it on, but at that point it's installed and it's kind of too late. So yeah, that's why another reason you might see blue lights out there. I mean, it might be just by accident sometimes. Okay, the last slide on this that I'm going to share is this graphic that shows kind of some different light fixtures. So we have our our totally unshielded globe luminaire on the far left. When I say luminaire is just another word for a light fixture. And so then we have very bad, which just basically has a little cap on the top. You can still see lots of uplight. Then the hat gets a little bit bigger, but you still see the whole globe. You still see the light source. So, and additionally, we still have a lot of light right at 90 degrees. So this is pretty high angle light. And the light between 80 degrees and 110 degrees from nadir straight down is really problematic because that really scatters a lot in the atmosphere. It can really travel very far at that high angle. So the better solution is having a light source that's fully shielded. This graphic, just to share, is a little over exaggerated. You can see the cutoff is very, very narrow. In reality, there's light fixtures available that have light distributions that are shielded and have light distributions that they're still putting light in 70 and 80 degrees, which is still fine. It's really a light above 80 degrees that's really not useful. And so we want to try to prevent light above 80 degrees. So this is a much better solution. And then the best solution is this fixture here with a timer on it. So that's just not on at all when it doesn't need to be on. Okay, so now that I've gone through the principles, we'll start to get into the what and the how. And I'm going to turn it over to Rick, our specialist, and he'll go through that.
Okay, thanks, James. And hi, everybody. Thanks for dedicating your time to be here tonight. I'll quickly introduce myself. My name is Rick Utting, and my primary day job is that I'm an advisor for outdoor lighting concerns for Clanton and Associates, which is a lighting design firm out of Boulder, Colorado. That job gives me the opportunity to participate with states, counties, cities, municipalities that are trying to do better. And so I've been fortunate to have that opportunity. In addition, I serve as the vice chair of the Outdoor Lighting Committee for the Illuminating Engineering Society. I've done that since 2015. So I've gotten to participate in the last several standards that have been written by the IES. And part of that is I get to work with many, many, many smart people. We get different perspectives. We get to learn things from each other. And so that puts us in a unique position to be able to work with DarkSky International as a policy advisor to help write these templates. As James mentioned, we met with a lot of people to craft these. Specifically, I will tell you that the municipal template, at the time we went live in November, we were on draft number 54. So we went through 54 drafts with many different groups that included lighting designers, advocates for energy, advocates for bird migration, advocates for dark sky. We had signage manufacturers, we had anti-signage people, we had astronomers, we had legislators, educators, we had representatives from the U.S. National Park System, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. So we took it very seriously. It took us just over a year to compile these templates. So one of the reasons we did it is this. If we continue to do what we've been doing, we'll continue to get what we've got. And currently the night sky is brightening by 10% a year. So we've got to help move the needle. So it may not come from the top down. This may have to come from the bottom up. And so while we could have created a third template, which would be a national or country level, those are really one-offs. I mean, there's some countries that have outdoor lighting law, and we applaud those. There's some really neat ones out there. But, you know, those could take decades to debate and craft. And the word template implies that there's some uniqueness about it that can be tweaked for what's needed. So we actually started from a hierarchy standpoint, we started with regional concerns. So in the US, that might be a state. In other countries, it might be a territory or a province. But in those regions, we created a template that is less stringent, so it's more likely to get adopted. If I said to you, imagine the perfect law or the perfect code, your answer should include it needs to be adoptable. If it's not adoptable, it's not perfect. These things have to be enacted in order to be effective. So the requirements need to be effective, but reasonable, understandable, enforceable, and adoptable. So at the regional level, we kept it rather simple. There's only really 4 requirements, and we'll go through theirs, but it's easy for state legislators who may not have a background in lighting to get their arms around just 4 things. Whereas at the municipal level, there are departments called code enforcement. Code enforcement can actually go out to a property and investigate a complaint. They can take light readings, and you know, they're part of the community. They live there, and so you can enact more requirements than you would be able to do at the state level, because it's just there is no state or regional lighting police. So with that, James, let's go to the next slide. So here in the US, I can tell you that at the state level, which is a very regional thing, there's 22 and actually now 23 states that have some statute or law that talks about outdoor lighting. For the most part, none of them are very good. Sorry, they target part of the equation. They might target the Department of Energy. It might target the Department of Natural Resources. There might be a restriction on really high output luminaires, but not others. There might be a lot of exceptions. Some of the vocabulary might be kind of old, and they're talking about things that don't really exist anymore. So the problem is, when one state is prompted to consider this issue, they look at what other states have done. And if you copy bad law, then you just have more bad law. And so this is where DarkSky stepped in and said, you know, if we came out with a template that had proper terminology, proper requirements that were effective and easy to understand, we could try to turn the situation around. So this is the current landscape at the state level in the U.S. This could translate internationally to other areas. James, let's go to the next slide. So in our template for state law, rather than target just one department, we actually went out after sort of all 4 reasons that we think this is important. We want to invite as many people to the party as possible. So we cite the idea of better visual performance for humans, right? We're not against light. You just got to do it right. And if you can minimize glare and illuminate the bright things, you can actually help people see better. So visual performance is a thing that we, a reason to have state law for outdoor lighting. Light pollution. So we are all probably pretty concerned with skyward light pollution, which creates sky glow. There's also light trespass that's between, you know, properties and, you know, other obtrusive forms of light pollution that we don't like. Energy use is a high concern for a lot of people who are worried about greenhouse gas emissions or electrical grids. So we cite that. And then finally, the ecological health and welfare of not only humans, but also flora and fauna. So we do care about wildlife and the plants. And so citing all 4 of those reasons is part of the template. We hope that the state, if they embrace that, then the you know, the enforcement of it can be a little bit more widespread within the government. So what can they do? What can the government really do? Most legislators don't want to touch private property, but they're willing to talk about state-owned land, state land that might be leased or managed, because if they're using public funds on that land, it matters to us all. They're willing to do that. And so we target what they can control. And within that, we tell them, we don't want you to overlight. This is significant because this is something that's never really been done before, but we want them to acknowledge that lighting standards exist. So the Illuminating Engineering Society is one way to get illumination standards. CIE has illumination standards. You might find Federal Highway Administration has lighting standards. The Little League Baseball has lighting standards. If the state acknowledges lighting standards exist, then we can put a cap on how much people can use light. So our template suggests that you can go 25% over the standard. That might sound like a big deal to most people, but I'll tell you, what we see is we see things that are lit to 3 and 5 times the standard. That's a problem. So we want to prevent overlighting, and the best way to do that is to cite a lighting standard that's used in a court of law as being safe. That's what these are. Secondly, issuing some light trespass limits on, most likely, in this case, federal or state land. Could be sensitive land, could be habitat, could be state parks, but just really preventing light trespass into areas where it shouldn't be. Most legislators can get behind that. So far, they can get behind the fact that you're using public money on state property. You're not going to light egregiously over lighting standards. You're not going to put it where it shouldn't be. The third bullet point here is a new concept that DarkSky is taking a leadership position on, and that is that the previous term of full cutoff, which is basically capping the light at 90 degrees horizontal, isn't quite good enough. We've done enough research. There's a white paper that's forthcoming that really talks about the lack of utility for light that's emitted between 80 and 90 degrees. It's ineffective to what humans need, and the chance of it escaping into the environment are so great that ultimately it's just wasted light and wasted energy. And so we're gonna recommend, in addition to full cutoff, that the emissions above 80 degrees be limited and really start to try and move the needle, so we're doing something more than we do today to make things better. And then finally, the fourth bullet point, which again is suggesting color temperature be at 3000 Kelvin or below to minimize the short wavelength of blue light that just is not naturally present at night for any ecology. So that's four things. I mean, we're asking legislators with limited technical background to understand these four very common sense, reasonable things. And we're excited that these exist. We expect, because it's a template, that state A might substitute a few different words than state B, and that's okay. But in large, their vocabulary and their requirements will be very similar. Okay. So here's just a quick image of this 80-degree discussion. I think most people get it, but we're talking about 80 degrees above nadir. So that light can create pole spacing. Pole spacing costs money. The fewer poles you put in, it's more cost effective for owners and people who put it in. But above 80 degrees, you cannot mathematically generate enough light to hit the ground at a useful light level without having a luminous intensity that artificially adapts your vision to where the amount of light that hits the ground wasn't effective. So it's you can't, it doesn't work. So in addition to the possible upward escape of light pollution, it just doesn't have a use. I understand it might hit architecture and it might light up some vertical surfaces, and we love that. But there's better ways to do that. There's more effective ways to do that. So this is something that we're gonna put out there. We're gonna hope industry grabs onto this and that manufacturers will start to design towards this goal. But it takes time. We're leading in this case, so we're the first one through the wall. Next slide, James. So now we'll talk about the municipal template. So think of everything we just talked about at the state level. Those still apply, but now we're adding some things. We're adding some things that can be controlled at the local level. For example, curfew. Local community might have no real qualms about defining when nighttime is. If it's a bedroom community, maybe they're willing to say after a 10 or 11 p.m., lights have to dim, you know, for the betterment of the area. Residential requirements. Everyone deserves a dark place to sleep in. It should be treated very different than a commercial corridor in an urban environment. Sports lighting, which James touched on and is an expert in, but sports lighting is definitely one of those things. We all love our sports. We're not willing to give it up, but we got to figure out how to do it responsibly. And then finally, we really ask the local governments to think about the information that should be on the application for permit, so it can be considered. And then ultimately, the code enforcement department needs to be empowered to understand how to go out, deal with complaints, measure light trespass. And for certain areas, we have supplemental language. So for areas that want to attack illuminated signage, there's additional criteria for that. For areas that have coastal marine sea turtles, we have criteria for that. And for areas that want to deal with seasonal lighting, we have a few recommendations on that. So in addition to the core template, there's some supplemental stuff. But again, the word template implies, and I really stress this, you need to make it meaningful for your community. And the example I'm going to give is Albuquerque, New Mexico. It's located along the famous Route 66 in the United States. And Route 66 in Albuquerque were known for the neon signs of gas stations and hotels, and Albuquerque loves that. They love that their identity and character has that history. I have worked on other cities that say no neon allowed. And here you have Albuquerque that's saying, yeah, we love neon. So that's fine, right? It's fine that every city has something unique about it. That's why it's a template. There's places where you can kind of tailor it. But at the end of the day, there's a way to do the neon responsibly. I mean, you still have light level, distribution, curfew, timing, all that stuff, right? Okay. And at the bottom, just of note, that yeah, this is endorsed now by people like Scenic America and American Bird Conservancy, because they find it to be very effective and easy to adopt. And we will continue to ask others if they're willing to endorse it as well. The next slide shows just sort of how the light trespass might, be measured. Obviously, in the residential community, you might have one neighbor being mad at another neighbor because they don't turn their light off and it shines in their window. And so we've just recommended that really 1 lux be the maximum limit for light measured at a property line between 2 residential areas. Sensitive land is much, much less at 0.1 lux, which represents basically full moonlight, something that you would encounter in nature. So this is a quick diagram just to show you how code enforcement could go out with a light meter, measure it, and make a determination on a complaint. Okay, this is where you come in. So hopefully nobody's sleeping, everybody's wide awake, because now you need to do something. So how can you help? You could go to the DarkSky website and you could look up at the top banner where it says Get Involved. Please click on that. When you click on that, it will expose this screen right here where you can then read more about how to create codes and statutes. The reality of most people on this call is you might not be working with state representatives and state senators, and you might not be into state law, but you can certainly help drive the local ordinance in your town, right? So just this next image is just an example of what I'm recommending that you think about doing, right? Find out if your current county or municipality has a lighting ordinance. You can Google it. You can call the city hall and ask for a copy. And it's about 50-50 whether your city does or doesn't. Okay. If they do or they don't, you can download for free the DarkSky International Municipal Ordinance Template. You could compare the 2 documents and see where there's gaps, deficiencies. And if you want to make a recommendation, you can try and find a city planner, a city staff, or a city council member. And you can say, I am an advocate, and there's this wonderful tool out there, and there's people around the world using it. Can I come talk to you about our town doing something more responsible? So behind this template, as I mentioned, you have the power of all kinds of professional input, that this is now the best practice. And compared to the original MLO, which was 44 pages of very thought-provoking ways to illuminate, this is basically a 8 to 10 page, here's the requirements and here's how we can operate our local community, period. Very easy to understand. So I recommend you get really familiar with your local situations, your local government, make some phone calls. I can promise you they do not like to take phone calls of people who are not happy. They much rather take phone calls from people that are happy. So if you're not happy, they're going to try and make you happy. And you might get a meeting. And if you get an opportunity, I will tell you that community engagement is by far the best way to make change. If you get the right people at the meeting, which might include city park staff, police, first responders, advocates, right? If those are the key stakeholders and you have the community working together, people will listen to each other and you can affect change. Okay, so thanks in advance for what you're going to do. We encourage you to do this. The templates exist as a tool for you. And this could be how, from the ground up, there's enough momentum that before long we make a difference.
Great. Thank you, Rick.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now that we've gone through the what and some of the how, I'll kind of continue on with some more of the how to use these tools. So we have an official program. It's the DarkSky Recognized Codes and Statutes program. So this is, you're utilizing the templates and then working with this within this program. So the program is to recognize enacted DarkSky friendly codes and statutes. You can go to the website and click get involved, like Rick mentioned. And that will bring you to where you can download the templates. You can search the policy database. There's educational videos that you can watch, and you can apply to have your code recognized. So let me get into that a little bit more. So on the website, we offer two types of reviews. The first review is an interim review, which would be something you do prior to bringing it to your local government, prior to the adoption. So you have either an existing ordinance that you want to, that you're working on to try to improve, and you want to get some feedback from DarkSky directly. So you can take that document you have and you can upload it, share it with us. We will do a full review, provide comments to improve the quality of that document until it's at the point where it's ready to be brought to your local government or municipality, city, and be enacted. So once you have basically an ordinance that meets the requirements of DarkSky, and you went through the process and you got it enacted, you can then submit that enacted law to DarkSky, and DarkSky will recognize that code and statute for that city. And so enacted laws meet the requirements of the templates, then the law can become DarkSky recognized. It will be put on our website, and you will receive a certificate that could be framed. And DarkSky does a good job with our communications team of like announcing these things and making a big deal about it. We want people to know about it. We want to put a spotlight on whatever cities go ahead and go through with this and get good, policy enacted, because it's a model for other cities to follow. And so that's really, kind of the trend we want to start there with this. This is the last slide. This just shows a little snippet of the codes and statutes program guidelines. So on our website, you'll see under program guidelines, it's one of the bars on the side of the web page. And it goes through, there's an introduction, it goes through the process of how to use everything and how to work through the program. It's very detailed. And so, we have a really good, strong web page set up with all the tools for you. And all you have to do now is take it and run with it. And so it's the advocates like everyone on the call here that are really doing a lot of the legwork and really making this thing fly here in the United States and, really around the world. So we appreciate all of you. And so now at this point, I think we can kind of open things up for questions, Callie. So I'll let you handle that part.
Right on. Perfect. Thank you so much for that very insightful presentation, Rick and James. And we can get started with the Q&A, which we do have a few questions. So Kathy asked, regarding the change to address full cutoff wasted light, what does that look like? A perimeter shield around the fixture. So many of those LED panels are installed at 45 degrees at a 45-degree angle. Regarding the change to address full cutoff, yes. Well,
I
what
get
does
the
that look
question.
like?
I think I get the question. So, so dark sky, we have the dark sky luminaires program, right? So there's some criteria for light fixtures to be dark sky compliant. It's really basic at the moment. We're kind of on the right on the edge of releasing an update to this, which will kind of make it it's a little more professional, more complete, has some more details. Some things are a little bit more strict. We have some additional categories, but what's on our website right now and has been there for a long time is that there's no light above 90 degrees, has to have a warm CCT 3000K or less. But one of the other items is mounting. Not allowed to have tiltable arms, has to be a fixed arm. Dark sky proof fixtures must be designed to be mounted and to be flat parallel with the ground below. So if it's the product is tilted, there's a lot of wasted light happening, and that is not gonna work. So we're talking about light fixtures that are going to be mounted, flat, facing straight down to the ground, not tilted at all. And so light fixtures where the light source is recessed inside the fixture housing, most cases, those are going to eliminate light above 90 degrees. And so to achieve even more control and reduce that high angle light above 80 degrees, that can be done simply through the optics of the light fixture. Well, I say luminaire a lot. A luminaire is a light fixture. It's the same thing. Lighting manufacturers are using optical design to target the lighting and put the light exactly where they want it. They're putting it into those useful angles, and they're able to keep it out of those non-useful angles, like above 80 degrees. So there's lots of manufacturers already doing this, and we think as the cutoff above 80 degrees starts to kind of catch on more, I think a lot of it is just a matter of manufacturers marketing it that way. So, because a lot of products are already doing it, so they just need to market it that way. And I'm sure we'll see development of new products and new optical systems that will keep, building on that and providing more options for us. I hope that answered the question.
Right on. All right. The next question is, can these rules, policies, and regulation templates be translated for international use?
Yeah, so I'll give my tidbit on this, and then I'll probably let Rick talk as well. It was written, kind of around the US, but it was intentionally tried to be left open so that it could be adjusted and adopted globally. The idea is we want this to be a global, used globally. So with some massaging, it certainly can be.
Right on. The next question is, according to Flagstaff Research, well, they adopted the amber color lighting. Why does Dark Sky still recommend 3000?
We don't. That we recommend that 3000 be the maximum.
Okay.
So if anybody wants to, again, this is a template. If you think that your city council will approve 2400 Kelvin, go for it. But in the beginning, when I said, think of the ideal situation, it must be enactable. If you can't convince your city council to do 2400 Kelvin, 3000 is better than nothing.
Yeah, if I could comment. So I guess I'm beginning to sound a little bit like a broken record meeting after these meetings talking about the color temperature, but Rick and James, if the statement was, for example, 1800 Kelvin or 2200 Kelvin, but no higher than 3000, then we wouldn't end up with 3000 as the common occurrence, because we know that 3000 Kelvin lights put out a lot of blue. According to Flagstaff research, that's the amount of blue put out by 3000 Kelvin is double essentially the sky glow created by something like 1800 Kelvin. So in order to sort of fight this battle, why not tell people what we really want and then say, oh, well, if you can't handle that color, go up to 3000.
Yeah, Bill, it's a good question, and we're on the same team, but here's what we run up against, right? You do have Federal Highway Administration people who are advocating for 4,000. You've got manufacturers advocating for 4,000. And when we come in at 1,800, people will look at the standards and say, there's no pedestrian standard or vehicle standard that says you're safe at that color temperature, at speed, or whatever. We do have research at 3,000 that supports it. And so when we say maximum, we're basically saying that's acceptable. But here's the conversation we had at the earlier meeting today. So if 4,000 is 5 times more blue than 3,000, and 3,000 is 2 times more than 1,800, right? When James ran through the 5 principles, we really, really, really want people to understand you can't just change CCT and be done. It doesn't work that way. You got to lower the light level. You got to change the distribution and target it, and that includes the shielding. You got to control them and turn them off, and you need to use as warm as possible. We want you to do all of those. Now, Grand Canyon, Flagstaff, you guys are extremely blessed, right? And to think that this one template is such a broad brush that it's covering like Massachusetts and Virginia, right? They're just different places. And so in the template, James can show you, we put the number in a red bracket. And the reason we put it in a red bracket is so you can fill in the blank. We want you to do what your community is willing to accept and adopt. We've seen a city in Massachusetts, Pepperidge, Massachusetts, at 2,400, and it's beautiful. I think it's going to be a game changer. I think things are on the way, but as of today, we decided to keep the language the way it is, which is reversed of what you recommended. So we say, thou shalt not do more than 3,000 Kelvin.
Yeah, well, I think it's a mistake, actually. We can make more progress by saying, starting at the low Kelvin light and saying, oh, well, you could go up to 3,000.
But if a city won't adopt it, then you made no progress at all.
No, they'll adopt 3,000, Rick.
And we're back where we were. I mean, I think this is a conversation that obviously comes up all the time, and I think the feeling is that we really want to make sure that we're not gonna get something denied right off the bat because we're being, coming out of the gate too strict. We want to put the flexibility in there for you, and it's there. But we have to lead with something that is more likely to be adopted. And it's tough because there's definitely, conflicting points of view there for sure. And it's a little bit of a tough one, of course. So
if I can add a comment, this is Stephen Landau, that there's a tremendous amount of education that needs to take place though around CCT. And some of those factors, they're just not well understood. The marketing material on the packaging of solutions confuses people. And in my experience, if we start the conversation with CCT, we start with a lot of arguments rather than moving through, as you said, James and Rick, the things that make a difference. And if we can get 70 or 80% of the way there through the first 4 principles, then we're ahead of the game, because this technology is going to keep moving for the next 10 or 15 years as well. And what we have available today is very different than what you'll see available in the coming years.
I agree, Steve. Thanks for the comment. We are working right now on another supplemental language for areas surrounding observatories. We're currently working with the state of Hawaii. And I do think that the trend is clearly to deal more directly with the spectral power distribution than CCT. But the problem is the industry can't react to us talking in a way that they don't currently have any standards for. So as part of my work with the IES, I can tell you there is a plan to create a new technical memorandum, which would talk about some user-defined uses, including blue light content and observatory concerns.
Yeah. Also, for the Luminaires program, we have a sea turtle sensitive category. And for that category, we don't look at CCT, we look at spectral distribution, and we're looking for no spectral power below 560 nanometers. And so, yeah, it's a different document. They need to provide now spectral power graphs and stuff like that to us rather than just a CCT test.
Something we didn't mention earlier, but I'm still worried about Bill's comment, but to point out that in the hierarchy of these documents, these still fall short of what a dark sky community document is. So if you use the dark sky ordinance template, you could be Madison, Wisconsin with 1 million people, and you've got 0 chance of seeing the Milky Way, but you're trying to do the right thing. Compared to a dark sky community like Flagstaff, which actually has tighter regulations. So I just wanted to point out that dark sky is working right now on that hierarchy so that people understand the difference between being a community versus just being recognized. James, did I say that right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, right on. We're going to move on to the next question. We got a few minutes before breakout. All righty. Eileen asked, does Dark Sky have an article out that easily explains the 80-degree cutoff to make it easier for us to elected officials, city planners, and zoning writers to use? It would be great to have the diagram Rick showed with a more detailed explanation.
It's coming. We call it a white paper. It's been drafted. I will say we're on like revision number 12. We're making what we believe are the final tweaks of that right now. I have a presentation in May in Las Vegas where we hope to present the findings. So if you can just hang on a little longer.
Perfect. That's great to hear. All right, next question. Why are the 5 principles of responsible lighting listed in the order that they are?
Well, so it's by priority. So the top one, the number 1, is the most important. It's so that you know where to prioritize your efforts.
If you don't need it, don't use it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think everyone understands that humans add anthropogenic light at night to extend our daytime and functionality at night. And if you don't need to do that, you can be a little more fair to the environment, the ecology, the dark sky, right? It is by far the most effective way to reduce light pollution. But we've made it really easy to add light at night. You can go down to Lowe's or Home Depot and you can buy outdoor lighting and stick it in your yard easy. And that doesn't make it right.
Yeah. And you might be able to afford to operate it all night and pay for the electricity, and it's not a big deal. But again, we're changing the natural environment when we really don't need to.
Right on. Marie Bravo asked, I am meeting so much resistance coming from officials. The primary concern is security. People feel that more lights offer more security. Any advice on overcoming this issue?
I have opinions. The key statement there was you said that they feel. Make them produce their research and their citations. If they think that more light creates a safer environment, ask them for the research, because you can counter that. There is research. If you Google it, you will find that there is crash data and crime data that says that it happens in more lighted areas. So it's important to include the police department in the discussion, but you may need to mock up a physical sample. This is a true story. It happened in Denver, Colorado. The police department was resistant to the standard. When they were out on walking tour, they reduced the light level at the police station by 50%. When everyone returned to the police station, everyone agreed it looked great. And then the police were informed that that light level was half of what it used to be. And then they understood. It's hard, right? I mean, that's hard to pull off, but experiential learning is powerful.
Especially with lighting, I find that's really true. Thanks, Rick. I also put a link in the chat to a DarkSky safety engagement workshop that was held at the 2024 Underwood Sky. So that would really goes in depth into this topic. So you can copy that link and check that out after this.
I think, was that the SEPTED? Was that Art Hushen? Art Hushen?
Yeah,
See.
Because I just put
Yeah.
in there too, I just actually spoke at the US National SEPTED conference that was held here in San Diego last Friday on dark skies. And they are really on board with that. And there's a link I put in there about the security. So that is the answer. If your community, your municipality is not utilizing SEPTED principles for placemaking, and it involves landscaping, lighting, natural surveillance. When everyone closes their blinds and windows because there's bright lights shining in, your natural surveillance is gone. There's no neighborhood watch because no one's watching or
Right.
listening. And I could share my own examples of the van out front. Did you see anything? No, I was all closed up because of the damn lights.
Under SEPTED document or what you just presented, does it go into what the insurance companies say?
I'm not sure. It's an organization. It's a set of like principles and practices. SEPTED?
We get that question here in New Jersey a lot. What did the insurance companies say?
About how much light to have?
Well, in reference to like crime and crime prevention.
It's property crime. Yeah.
Well, vandalism and car thefts happen where it's lit, and
Oh, no,
homeless people gather where it's lit.
I know, I agree with that, but if SEPTED is saying, crime prevention, there should be a corresponding response from the insurance companies on that as well. And that's a question we get here in New Jersey.
It's a good question. If you're getting a cheaper insurance, if you use like 6,000K security lights on your garage, it's not pushing people to do the right thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and that usually puts a brick wall up once that conversation starts.
Yeah.
all right, right on. Let's go to the next question. We have a few more. Have you dealt with, oh, this is Claudia, by the way. Have you dealt with a county that will allow a nonprofit dark sky group to pay the county planners to update the lighting code to dark sky standards? We were told to pay $20,000.
Okay, I want to make sure I understand the question, but I will answer what I think the question was. It is possible that you can hire professionals to come in and do community engagement events, initial findings, make recommendations, draft an ordinance, and work with city council to get it enacted. And I've seen those $20,000 would be cheap. I've seen it go up to $60,000, $80,000. What DarkSky has just done is they have just provided these templates for free so that town council members, mayors, advocates can draft language that can get put in place at a much lower cost. Does that kind of answer the question?
That was my question. Actually, I'm really kind of concerned about this being a fee or being a bribe. And I just want to know if anybody else has come across this where they're actually asking us to pay the county planners to do their work. They say they don't have time to do it, but if we pay the money, they will do it. So we've been trying to upgrade our lighting code for 9 years now, and it's been really difficult, but so it's,
You know, most of us as advocates and volunteers, we right, I mean, we donate our time for free and we try and help out. DarkSky has never been offered money to write for a city, if I'm understanding you correctly. Instead, through your donations and through what DarkSky raises as a nonprofit, they're able to make these templates available for free so that more people can use them.
I think they're thinking about that $20,000 is not just the cost to write the code, because we've already written a suggested code, and it's been looked at by the county. They're saying that it includes having to go to the advisory councils and go before the board, and it's the overall money that it costs, not just the money to actually change the code. So I don't know. I guess I just wondered if anybody came across this where the county is asking us to pay, is allowing us to pay a bribe to have them do their work.
Ah, I see what you're saying. Interesting.
Yeah,
I have not encountered that.
I haven't either.
Where, Claudia, where do you live?
That's in San Luis Obispo County in Central Coast of California.
Okay.
We've been trying to certify Cambria as a dark sky community, like I said, for all that time. We've worked with John Barentine when he was, well, I still talk to John Barentine, but we've worked with him and he helped us with our code, and Ashley Wilson, who, when she was working there and stuff. So anyway, I just wondered if anybody encountered it and how you deal with it. And we're torn. We don't know if we should pay this bribe or not.
No.
You know?
I mean, no, seriously, like, I mean, they have to have regularly scheduled town council meetings. I mean, it doesn't cost money to bring up an issue at the town council meeting.
It's fishy. It's really fishy, especially when the fellow told me about it a couple of years ago. He said, "Oh, well," I said, "What else can we do? How can we get this lighting code passed?" And he says, "Well, you could pay $18,000. No, well, no, make it 20." And I went, "Is that a bribe?" And he goes, "Oh no, we call it a fee." Well, it's not in the fee schedule, so it's the bribe. And it wasn't a it wasn't a set number. It was off the top of his head. So I don't know. We're still in a quandary about that. But thank you. I just thought, well, maybe this is common practice and I just didn't know about it, but I don't think it is. So
No, if he can't tell you what value you're going to get for your money, I don't get it. If he had to pull together all the stakeholder resources to hold meetings and rent meeting space and all that, you know, at least I get that he needs to spend money, but yeah.
okay. Thank you, Rick.
Yeah.
All righty, and that's going to conclude the Q&A portion. But if you did not hear your questions answered, please do email me. I'll leave my email in the chat, and then I can forward them to whichever person in DarkSky can answer them best, if not me. So right on. All right, I'm going to break you all out into groups just for probably 20 minutes. And that way y'all can network and connect and share experiences and hopefully get some advice on some of the issues y'all are facing. So
Thanks,
right.
Kelly.
Of course. Here we go.
I'm gonna stay here with you. Did I feel bad? Like, I don't feel good at all.
Yeah, it sounds like you're getting worse, Betty.
Yeah,
My
like by the minute, dude.
you want to log off? It's fine.
I might, I might, I'm gonna ask this. Elizabeth, you need help getting into the breakout rooms? No? Okay, you're on mute, so we can't hear you, but I saw you not shake your head.
All right. Dawn, Shaw, Marianne, Elizabeth, hello. I would love to hear what y'all thought about, anything that we went over in the presentation, any questions you may have, why you're a dark sky advocate even. I love those stories.
Hi, Celia. Not sure if I'm in. I have my camera off because my connection isn't great. It was coming and going. I'm here. It's after 1 o'clock in the morning in Ireland. So I'm a night owl here. Hi. I've been doing some work and raising awareness about light pollution, making submissions to the local authority for the county development plan to try and get them to change the lighting to more shielded lighting. I missed the beginning of the presentation, sorry. So I was just hoping that somebody could send me the best way, the steps for getting a particular area near where I live designated, the procedure for that. I'm, because I've got some materials from the Save Our Stars and the Dark Sky Association already, but I would like to have a structured format in terms of I've linked in with one of the universities for getting the details about the darkness in this particular area, and it's really beautiful. There are no artificial light there, and I think it would be really great to get it. I'm in North Kerry in Ireland, so
Oh wait, I didn't link it. There it is. There's a link in the chat, which is exactly an overview of the process for the dark sky place designation.
that's
I don't know
great.
if you
Thank
have
you,
access to the
Betty.
chat. Yeah, but we love Ireland. I have family in County Wicklow, and it's beautiful whenever the clouds clear, which is not often from my experience, but
Yeah.
when it's
Yeah,
clear,
it's
it's
lovely in
lovely.
Wicklow. It's
Mhm.
beautiful in Kerry as well.
Yeah, I did
To
get to
visit
visit
when you're
over
over.
in Cary as well. I didn't get to go to the Dark Sky Park, but I have been to like the Dingle area, and it's beautiful. So do you know Georgia, I'm assuming? Georgia McMillan in the Dark Sky Ireland chapter?
Sorry? Oh,
There we have a chapter in Ireland, as well, a local chapter, like a local group of dark sky people who have done a lot of dark sky park applications and do a lot of awesome work. They'd be great to connect with.
yeah. And where are they based? Because I've been doing some work on the SOS program for a good few years, North Kerry Environmental Forum.
Yeah, aren't they? They're right around there. County Mayo is where the Dark Sky Park is.
Oh, yeah.
It's just darksky.ie. I'll pop a link in the chat here for you as well.
Okay, thank you.
Kelly, I don't know if you did. I think you need to like broadcast the message if you
Yeah.
want to let people know that. You have to go to the breakout rooms thing, and then you have to click like broadcast and then broadcast message.
Oh, well, thanks.
You're welcome. It's just us that see that.
That's great.
Hi, sorry I lost my connection for a while. I'm Rohini Pindiala.
Hi, Rohini.
Hi.
Just joined this call for the first time, trying to see and understand what the organization is. Location is San Jose, California. San Jose, San Francisco, California. So just trying to see how we can participate and what this organization is. I do know Dark Sky Association. Been a lighting designer for the past 20 years, worked on DarkSky, but never focused much on the subject totally. So
Well, welcome. Are you familiar with the Santa Cruz chapter?
there is a Santa Cruz chapter. That's good to know. No, I
Yeah, I'll
don't.
pop that website in there as well. They're awesome.
Mm-hmm.
They'd probably be great to reach out to. We do have a delegate in San Francisco, Srini. He's an astrophotographer. Nice, Callie, you're on it. Dude, me and you together have the links down. Like but
So there's one in San Francisco and one in Santa Cruz. Is that what it
there's
is?
a chapter in Santa Cruz. There
Mhm.
is like an individual volunteer, like delegate in San Francisco, or he's in like, I don't, California is like confusing to me about like where does San Francisco end? I'm like,
It is quite big to understand.
but you can also look at our list of delegates as well and chapters on our website. I'll just
Yep, nice. There's something in here.
Our
That's good.
chapters are here, and then our delegates are here.
So where are you from, location wise?
I'm in Tucson, where DarkSky is headquartered out of. Yeah, and I'm like intentionally backlighting myself because I am unwell right
Silhouetted.
now, so I don't look great. So,
That's okay. It's just the evening.
yeah.
We get tired of getting the makeup on before the camera, so that's
I know,
completely
I
fine.
don't like being seen. I don't think.
Oh, it's nice to see there's chapters. That's good. So we could find the closest chapter. It's international as well. That's great.
And then Callie, where are you, Callie?
I'm in Ogden, Utah, so I'm a little closer to California than Betty Maya
I don't
is.
know. I'm pretty close to California.
Oh, please.
I am like a 6-hour drive from San Diego, girl.
Oh, well, when you say it like that. I mean, my in-laws did just like make that trip in like 12 hours, I think. So, okay, I'll give that.
It's like snowing in Utah.
Right? It is, gosh. But also, if you're interested in connecting with other advocates in your area, I highly recommend joining our Slack advocacy network, where there's like thousands of advocates from like all over, including California. So that's a pretty poppin' place.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see that they have Joshua Tree, Santa Cruz, so very nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think our group are on that North Kerry Environmental Forum that I'm the founder of. I'm not sure. The Slack Advocacy Network, isn't it? You mentioned, Celia. Yeah.
Yeah, we can pop the link in the
I know.
chat.
Sorry, I
join.
cannot double. Oh.
Do you, you want to do the link?
No,
I
I
can do
got
the
it. I
link.
got it. Hold on.
You got the link.
Yeah, because it's really cool. Our advocacy network on Slack breaks out into like several different channels based on different topics. So there's tons to do and see and communicate about. So, alrighty. Now I'm gonna pop that in the chat. There we go.
Where is the annual report
Thank
link
you.
also for chapters and delegates? Kelly, do you know where that is?
I do, because I've typed it so many times.
You send it to me.
There we
I
go.
just checked. I haven't been checking my Slack, and then I just opened it, and someone asked me about this link, so I'm gonna send it to them.
Well, there we have it.
Thanks, Earl.
There's Flagstaff, Phoenix, Southern Arizona. There's 4 there.
I know it's interesting that there isn't like, I bet if I looked in the database there'd be people in San Jose, but because you'd think there would be people in
I think
there would be like
Santa Cruz. I understand why it's Santa Cruz because it's more, what do you call, it's the beach and it's the wilderness. So
Yeah.
probably that's more San Jose, San Francisco, they're all LZ4s, lights everywhere, not much you could do.
Mhm.
So maybe Santa Cruz is something that has a bit of a sustainable, attitude towards sky.
Yeah.
Probably want to preserve. And it's nice the way you guys divided into LZ1 and 2 and 3. So this probably goes into L4 where it's not a lot of night light in Santa
You know who
Cruz.
would be great for you to talk to is Lisa Heschong. Do you know Lisa?
Mm-hmm. Daylight.
Yeah, she's involved with the DarkSky Santa Cruz chapter as well.
Oh, nice.
So as a fellow lighting designer, it might be a good perspective or partnership, friendship, dark sky ship, all of the above.
The sky ship is a good look. Like an alien ship, it looks good.
Yeah.
Right, it's the friendly kind.
Are you a lighting designer? Is anyone here a lighting designer?
No,
I'm
but
not.
I'm studying lighting design. I want to be a lighting designer, actually.
And you are currently on the architecture side of it?
I'm actually doing landscape architecture right now,
Mm.
with the goal of specializing in lighting design, and I'm in an architectural lighting class, and I'm actually taking a theater lighting class as well, because I was told that would be like kind of useful hands-on practice with designing light. And I submitted an application to the like KTH Institute of Technology in Sweden's like master's program, because I realized I like don't really want to do the landscape architecture part. I just want to do the lighting.
The glamorous part.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm kind of trying to figure it out right now.
Janet Moyer have you heard of her?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
She's
that's a
over here in
different
Utah.
Janet. I think that's a
Oh.
different Janet.
Oh.
Janet Muir is in Utah. I think like what did you say, Janet Moyer? She's like the
Janet
landscape. She
Moyer, yeah.
literally wrote the book on landscape lighting, right?
Yes. She
Yeah.
was one of our professors. And
Yeah. Where did you study?
RPI, upstate New York.
So what's
way back ago, 20 years ago. She upstate New York, Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute,
Oh,
Troy,
okay.
New York. She did a semester for landscape lighting. Oh God, I'll tell you that's the most tedious semester or the class that I had to take because you have to go out every night, do this, do these mock-ups. It was fun when all it turned out, but every night going into wilderness, you don't know what's coming your way. But oh wait, that's okay. Well,
Oh,
light it
that's
up.
my favorite thing to do.
I got so scared. You'd be the best person then.
It is
But it
scary.
was
It is
fun.
scary for sure.
It was fun. She always does this hands-on 3-day if you ever get a chance. I don't know if she's still doing it or not, but if you get that 3-day landscape lighting course anywhere, she was doing up until a while ago. I don't know if she's still, but it's a good one to go.
Well, where do you work? Do you have your own firm or?
Yeah. No. I work with a company called Stantec.
Okay, cool. That sounds
They
familiar.
have all the sectors. So they have interior, exterior, so just anything that to do with lighting. But
Oh, cool. Do you guys need an intern? Do you need an intern?
yeah, we always welcome interns. Yeah,
Oh,
go
really?
for it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Remote? I don't live anywhere near.
Remote, yeah, we'll look into it definitely.
Oh, cool. Well, we'll look
We
at it.
have a lot of offices, so maybe somewhere in Arizona we may have one. We'll see.
Yeah.
So
All right. It looks like it's time to go back. Yeah, y'all can see the time countdown, I think. So feel free to head back to the main room.
okay, I think we'll head back to the main room. You just
We're
leave
in the
or
main room.
Huh?
We are the
Yeah, I
meeting.
don't see any
Oh,
countdown.
Yeah, we never left, yo. We
well, in the first session, I was like bouncing around throughout the break rooms, checking on everyone. So sorry.
It's
Here.
okay. We're here. We don't have to go anywhere. We get the princess treatment.
Woo!
People come to us, so how about that?
Yeah,
Thank
absolutely. Yeah.
Oh yeah, people are joining. Here we are. Hello, hello.
We're back.
Yay.
Woohoo! Right on. Glad to see Zoom is working appropriately. Woohoo! All right, we've got a few more people.
I have a quick question for you. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Paula from Uruguay doesn't speak English. And so I was wondering if you have a translation of the PowerPoint you did today or any information. And if you could maybe send that to her, I don't know if she understands me or not, but anyway, she's right here. So if you could help her out with that, I'm sure there's other people who need things in Spanish and maybe a couple other languages.
Yeah, usually there's I'm not an expert in this, but there's usually Zoom has like a translate and captioning. So maybe next time, Callie, when we start the meeting, maybe we gotta go over that for people so then they know how to set the captioning for their language. That's probably helpful. I didn't think about that, but yeah, thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah, super sorry about that. Zoom is actually pretty accessible with, closed captioning, translation captionings, Q&A, all of that. Also, sorry if you hear my dog. So, all right. Thanks for everyone for coming back and reconvening. I hope you had a great time connecting with each other and networking and hopefully learning a little bit more about each other and why the dark skies are important. Gosh, thank you, James and Rick, for your awesome and very insightful presentation. I'm glad we got really good engagement out of it. And if you have any follow-up questions and if your questions were not answered, send me an email. I'm gonna put it in the chat now, even though I said that before and I didn't, sorry. And email me and then I can just forward it on. So, perfect. Also, please don't forget about International Dark Sky Week. It's a very exciting time. It's a great time to go out and get activated and really start on your dark sky efforts if you haven't already started. Whether that is making the pledge or requesting a proclamation from your local legislators or gathering some more advocates and hosting an event in your area. Yeah. So if you have any questions or want to connect with other advocates, just email me and I'm more than happy to put y'all together. But
Great job. Great job, Callie. Thank you so much for putting it all together so smoothly and well done. Thank you.
yeah, all right. Well, that's the night. So I'll see you in March.
Thanks, everyone. Cheers.
Bye.